Solopreneurs, I have a guest today that you all need to know. Welcome back to my channel. And look who I have here today. He's a guy who literally knows a guy, who knows a guy, who knows a guy, who knows a guy. That's not just a catchy title. I am thrilled to be introducing to you Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy. We also call him the Summit Guy. In a while, I'll tell you why. If you're a solopreneur, you need to be seen, right? You need an audience. And that's why you need to know Michael. Michael is a networking powerhouse connecting people across continents. 6 continents so far, he says. He's also the author of 2 wonderful, interesting books. The Guy Who Knows a Guy and The View from the Deck, which are his thoughts on values, vision, and gratitude. And stay tuned because he told me that he's writing another book that's going to be coming out very soon. And that's going to be called The Guy Who Knows a Guy's Guide to Profitable Joint Ventures. Right, Michael?
That's correct.
Juicy. I'm buying it. Michael has hosted over 45 Interactive Summit Masterminds and so far has featured more than 280 speakers. And I was one of them. So I'm having this coffee with Michael today on YouTube, mostly because I found him to be a man after my own values. A man who's all about connections, about growth, and helping others build solid foundations for success. So welcome to the show, Michael.
Great to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. You often talk about 9 foundational questions of business. Could you break those down for our solopreneurs? And tell us what they are and tell us why they are so crucial for entrepreneurs.
I can. I brought this visual aid. So
thank you.
I came up with the 9 foundational questions because I was hearing the same things over and over again, running into all these entrepreneurs who were, stuck, not making progress, and they'd buy expensive programs. Nothing would help, and nothing would help, nothing would help. And I realized that there were certain foundational questions that you need to answer that underlie everything, whether you're a small company, big company, and this framework lets you figure out what you're missing. So the first 3 questions are, what are your values, what's your big goal, and how do you measure it? In other words, who are you and why are you doing what you do? And values are the positive things like authenticity and contribution and whatnot. Values are also the things that drive you, which we don't often think of as, or sometimes don't think of as positive, but they're still your values. So you might value recognition. You might value luxury. You might value ease. You want to sit on a beach and you're driven by sitting on a beach. You value that. If you don't know your values, and other people do, and clever people will figure out your values, even if you don't know them, you can be manipulated. So if you're like, I don't care about who gets the credit because it's, as long as the work gets done, but you really do value recognition, then somebody can make sure you get that recognition. Be like, oh, I like you. I don't know why, because they know your values. So you need to know yours. So that's the Simon Sinek, that's know your why stuff. Why are you doing this? It's also so you don't run past the finish line and keep running.
Yes.
Because if your goal is you want your family to move to a safer neighborhood and you want to have more quality time, but then you do things that are selling your time for money and you have less and less time for it. It's a classic story of the entrepreneur or businessman who works really hard to support his family because he cares about his family, and his wife leaves him because she feels like he's never around and he never pays any attention to her because he's focused so hard on the business he forgot why he's doing it.
Oh my God.
So that's crucial. So then we have 4, 5, and 6, which are what you do. So what problem do you solve? How do you solve it? Whom do you solve it for? Number 4 is one of the biggest ones I find people have trouble answering. So you ask somebody what they do and they say, oh, I'm a social media manager, or I'm a copywriter, or I'm a, a speaking coach. You say, what problem do you solve? They say, well, I help people get better on stage. Well, that's not a problem. That's simply a thing you do. People buy a solution to a problem. They buy a solution to that thing that they've been stuck with.
Yep.
So, I help people have better relationships with their spouse. Okay. The problem you solve is they're miserable and they know there's something more and they don't know how to find it. That's a problem. That's something someone's going to borrow money, steal money to get a solution for. So we start there, and then what problem do you solve, and how do you solve it? And that's where you get into I do a 3-week program. We have 9 foundational questions. We have whatever it might be. And then whom do you solve it for? And that's often informed by what problem do you solve and how do you solve it? So if you solve the problem of unhappy marriages and potential divorce, well, who do you solve it for? Probably married people.
Absolutely.
Who are old enough to be married, and probably in what that 30 to 50 range is probably what it is. But then the more specific you get, the more niche you get, the better it's going to be, which is a little bit beyond the scope of just the 9 questions. But at least you need to know generally who you solve it for, because if you're going to market, you got to know who to point it towards. If you got joint venture partners, you got to know who has to be in their
target audience. Yeah.
And then now you know what you do, you know who you are. Now you got to sell it. And so questions 7, 8, and 9 are a funnel backwards. So how do you sell it? How do you invite people to sell it to? And how do you find those people? So how do you sell it? I put you in front of your ideal prospect. What are you going to do? How do you make them actually buy it? They need it. How are you going to convert them? Question 8, how do you get people into that conversation? So you know how to sell them. You know what to say to convince them they want to work with you. How do you invite them in? Is it from your email list? Is it knocking on their door? Is it cold calling? Is it referrals? Whatever. And then question 9 is how do you build that audience? So running a summit is a question 9 answer. I run a summit to get people into my email list. Question 8, from which I invite them to a call or a presentation or a free trial or whatever. And then I make the offer from there. But I do it in that order because a lot of people focus on leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. I have an email that's 5,000 people. They're not selling anyone. I need more leads. And so I start with, if I can put one person in front of you, could you close them? All right. Now 2, now 3. All right, good. Now let's get a flow of those people. All right, now let's feed that engine. So that's why it goes in the order that it does. And you'll notice over my head, there's a link here, guywhoknowsaguy.com/9Q book. 9 questions book. It's a brief ebook, goes through all 9 of these with a little exercise for each one to help you figure out your answers. But the point is, even if you just run through and you're like, what are your values? Their authenticity and family. What's your big goal? It's let my wife be able to quit her job. Well, how do you measure it? Well, when we have $200,000 a year, she'll be able to quit. If you just run through them, boom, 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 you will probably figure out which one you're missing. And you'll be like, how do you solve it?
I don't know.
Or how do you sell it? Well, now you know what you need. So now you know what you're searching for on YouTube. Now you know what podcast you should be listening to. Now you know what program you should buy, what summit you should attend, because you should get the answer to the question you know the answer to. So it's a standalone, just having these 9 questions. Screenshot this video right now, and you have the starting point. But then beyond that, we can go into exercises and workshops and deeper coaching to really go into them. But I built it to be a simple, go through these 9 questions and then take it where it leads you.
Nice. I'm going to put that link in the description where people can download your resource. And I think this is really, really incredible. It's very insightful. It sounds like these questions provide a roadmap for clarity and for alignment mostly.
Yeah.
But imagine I wouldn't want to go through these 9 questions. What happens if a solopreneur like me totally decides to skip over this foundation and dive straight into an action without fully understanding these principles?
These questions are dumb. I don't need them. I'm on. So, values, if you don't know those, then a few things can happen. One is you could chase the wrong values. So, money is a default value. Everyone's selling you make money. Yes. So you go into misaligned marketing, misaligned sales, and now you feel dirty and you're still not making money because it's really hard to sell when you're out of alignment. So also you can be manipulated. So if there's something that you're driven by, then somebody could use that to manipulate you, either individually, someone who's particularly crafty at that, or marketing algorithms. Facebook also knows your values based on what you click on, what you like. And so a well-crafted ad can drive you to do something that's actually more aligned than you think it is, but not in your best interest. Goal and measurement, if you don't have that, you can overrun the goal. I had a client once who she thought she wanted a 7-figure business because, that's what everyone wants, right? 7-figure business. Look Absolutely. At all the ads. Tells you that. So it turned out her real goal was she wanted to be able to take care of her 3 key employees and give them a good upper middle class living. You know, nothing, not yacht buying, but, you know,
Oh, wow.
comfortable, taken care of. And when she actually did the math and figured out what the answer to question 3 was, what she needed to achieve that goal, she figured out she's about $50,000 short of that target. Then she looked back at the previous year, and she had spent $50,000 on coaching programs and other programs to get to $1 million. She didn't need $1 million. All she had to do was not spend $50,000 on the 7-figure program. She would have already been there. She was at the finish line.
That is right.
Never calculated where the finish line was. So if you don't know what problem you solve, you don't know how to present yourself so people care. So if you don't have question 4 answered, you're going to go into a networking space and you're going to say, I am a marketing strategist who helps people grow their business. And people say, okay, sure, whatever. I am a realtor who helps people buy and sell their homes. Okay, sure, whatever. What you're doing is not compelling to people because you can't present it in a way that's compelling. Once you know what problem you solve. So if you've ever been to a networking event, there's probably, especially local ones, BNI, there's a realtor, there's a financial advisor, there's a insurance agent. They're interchangeable. They say the same things. You know, I could cut them off after 5 words and finish their 60 seconds for them. They're going to say the same thing. But imagine if a realtor instead said, you know how buying a home is one of the most stressful experiences you're ever going to have. What I do is take care of the hard part and let you focus on finding the perfect home with ease. So if you hear that, you're going to say, okay, I know 4 people buying a home. 3 of them, that's not the right one. They're not worried about the stress. They want best price or whatever. But one of them is nervous and anxious and needs someone to hold their hand, and I'm going to introduce them straight to you. So that's the power there. No, if you don't know number 5, you don't have a product. So you better know that one, because that's like, somebody gives you money, what are you going to do? So that's kind of sort of important to know. And then number 6, again, it's hard to market. You can't market it. When you target everyone, you get no one. So we're reaching. And then 7, 8, 9, that's how you sell it. So if you don't have number 7, and this is common, people focus on 9 over and over and over and over again and never think about 7. It doesn't matter how good your marketing is, how good your funnel is, how many events you run, how many networking calls you have, if you can't close anybody. So what are you selling? And then how do you sell it? When you're in front of the right person, I put you in front of your ideal client who definitely has a need. What do you do? And what are you going to do to make sure they say, take my money? And from there, you work it backwards. And so, you know, if you don't have number 7, then nothing else matters because you can't convert. If you don't have number 8, same issue. You have an audience, but you can't actually get them to the point of making an offer. If you don't have number 9, you're sitting in a room by yourself. How great your product is. But 9 is in some ways the easiest and also the one that people focus on the most. Because, you know, leads are sexy. Get you 5,000 leads, big email list. How big's your email list? And so people over focus on that and over index more leads. And one thing you see sometimes is if you have enough lead flow, you get sloppy. So if I'm feeding you 100 leads a day, you send them one email and be like, you want it? No? Okay, toss them to the side. I got 100 more tomorrow. But if you get 1 lead a week, if you have 1 lead that turns into 1 call a week, you're going to really pay attention to that, really follow up with it. So, but you still need that, because if you have no way to find the people at all, then you're sitting in a room by yourself, twiddling your thumbs, saying, I wish I had someone to talk to. So that's what happens if you do not answer the 9 foundational questions.
Absolutely. You are 100% right. And I think I'm going to focus more on that number 7, which is like, my eyes are not leaving that 7 right now. How do I sell it? Okay, normally I never sell. I invite them to my community and I build relations first. That's where connections happen for me. But it's easy to get caught up in the hustle of every day and forget about setting foundational pieces in place. So if you guys are just tuning in and listening so far, you need to now understand that you need to take the time to answer these questions. It's not just one silly step. And those are not silly questions just because they look like tiny, simple questions. They are a foundation. They are necessity. Without a foundation, you're not going anywhere. So, Michael, this Yes.
Actually, you made a great point. So 8 and 9 are more fun than 7.
Yes.
So
I agree.
9 is running a giveaway, running a side. I run summits basically for fun, and as a
Yes.
secondary benefit, I build my list.
Mhm.
8, running a community is number 8.
Mhm.
So, I run the Entrepreneur Village, which is a free networking event. And I honestly had no business plan for it when I put it together. I still kind of don't. But it's fun. I love it. Hanging out with people. They're like, oh, Michael, I love your group. It's so much fun. Oh, it's a great time. So it's easy to get trapped in the fun parts of 8 and 9. And some people are like, lead generation's fun. Yeah, if you do it the right way.
Mhm.
Putting out a summit's a whole lot of fun. Now, you do it the hard way, and it's a funnel and system and technology and videos. And yeah,
It doesn't have to be that hard.
But you do it the fun way. You basically throw parties and then write down people's email addresses and then send interesting emails to those people and invite them back to networking events or recurring things. You can have so much fun doing 8 and 9. Forgetting you're not doing, if you don't do 7, then you have a hobby. Because
That's right.
you got to at some point ask those people for money and not just ask them, because you can't just go into a room and be like, hey, I got something, you want it? No? Okay, cool. You have to get them on calls.
Correct.
And on that call, you have to actually walk them down the path and say, hey, I know you got a problem. And I know you have money. So we need to apply your money to the problem by giving it to me. We got to do this now. So don't get caught up in the fun of 8 and 9 and then forget to do the work that happens in 7.
Do the 7, correct. Okay. And before I wrap up, I want people to know how to connect with you. You just said the Entrepreneurial Village, which is your networking event that you run frequently. Find the links in the chat, you people, and be there. Sign up and be there. These networking events are the jewel. They are the gem for solopreneurs like you and me. So I host networking events every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's called Connections. And like Michael says, I run this for fun. These are so much fun. The other benefit, relationships. Building authentic personal relationships before selling. And that's exactly what Michael does. Come there, come to my event, come to his event. Just grow your network. So tell us more actions that we need to take, watchers need to take.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to come to the village, you go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/village, which is down below.
Link below.
I also run awesome virtual interactive summit masterminds. So these are not your typical summits where it's a bunch of videos and a web page and you sit and watch them. This is an interactive event. This event you're part of. I was actually talking to someone the other day. They said, I'm looking to connect with people in the health space. And I said, cool, I'm running a health summit. You should come as an attendee because you'll actually get to talk to the speakers. This is something you do at live events all the time, right? I want to meet health speakers. I go to a health event. But you would never do it at a virtual summit because information only travels one way. I run an interactive mastermind style event. You want to meet health speakers? Come to the health event. So that's at summits.fun. Because all summits should be .fun.
Yes.
And so summits.fun, where you can apply to be a speaker or just be an attendee. It's free to attend. And you're going to make some really good connections and learn a lot. And it's about what you learn and also who you meet and then how you put that together. So summits.fun. And then also, speaking of meeting people, I run an event called JV Connect. JV Connect is a dedicated network event. It is not an event with a bunch of speakers, which, I do those too. Those are also cool.
Yeah.
But there's no speakers. There's no big, it's not one of those where it's like, oh, it's a networking event, by which I mean there's a 3-hour pitch in the middle so I can sell you my program. Nope. It is a connection event because I wanted to create the best networking space on the internet. And that's what we do. So quarterly we do that, jv-connect.com. As we record this, the next one, September 10th and 11th. The one after that, December 10th and 11th, 2024. And if it's after that when you're watching this, well, go to jvconnect.com and down in the description. And
you'll find the links in the description.
Yep. And you will find the dates of the next one coming up. So, but definitely, the first step, if you're like, I want to get to know this guy a bit better, come to the village every Friday and you meet me. In fact, a lot of people, they reach out to me on LinkedIn. Hey, can we get on a call? I want to get to know you better. Cool. Come to the village. Because if you actually want to get to know me, now, if you want to pitch me, village isn't a good place for it. But if you want to get to know me, come to the village because I am a creature of community. By myself, I'm kind of dull and boring and sad. But in community, that's where you find me. So the village is a great starting point to be like, who's this Michael Whitehouse guy? Come hang out with me at the village and you'll see all about it.
We are so alike. Every Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern at the village. I'll see you there along with Michael too. So this was awesome. Thank you very much, Michael. And you guys, if you got value from today's conversation between Michael and me, you got to do two things. Sign up to those events and look for those books that Michael wrote. They are extremely, extremely interesting. And if you're solopreneurs, you need them. Links to buy them are in the description. So don't skip that step, okay? And if you want more interviews, if you want me to interview on my channel, don't forget to subscribe. That is a must. And hit that notification bell. And drop me a comment below and tell me what you found most valuable in these few minutes with Michael. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.